Do you trust me?
Trust you? I guess so. Why?
You up for a challenge?
Well, I'm always up for a challenge, Stuart. You should know that.
It's a trust run. So you run as fast as you dare with your eyes shut to that stone wall, and I catch you before you hit your head.
Oh. Okay, well, let's give it a go.
Okay, are you ready?
I think so.
Right, eyes shut and go!
No, it's a bit scary, Stuart.
Well, yeah, but that's part of the challenge. But trust me, it's going to be fine. Honestly.
3, 2, 1.
Come on, one more time. Ready? Go! Ooh. Mark! Mark, I'm so sorry. Are you going to be all right?
I should be all right, Stuart. I think I'll make it through. In
Good.
fact, Stuart, I'm completely fine because obviously we were just pretending.
We were.
I know that I could trust Stuart in that situation. And who you trust is actually very important. Over the last few episodes, we've been hearing the stories of a number of people that trusted in God. There was Noah, who trusted a strange request from God and built a giant boat. Discovered that God asked him to do that to save people. There was Abraham, who had to trust a promise from God, even over many, many years when it seemed completely impossible. And there was Moses, who trusted God as he led them through the desert to a new land that he had promised he would give them.
And today's story is about somebody else who had to learn to trust in God. But before we tell that story, here's a game for you to try.
Oh, hi there. We're not going to get you to do a trust run. As you can see, it can end quite badly. But why don't you have a go at a trust walk? You'll need a blindfold. Like me, you could use a scarf, or you could use a hat pulled over your face. Then get someone that you trust to take you by the arm or by the hand and lead you on a little walk. After you've done that, you could see how much you can trust their instructions to guide you around. Forwards, left a little bit more. Right, straight on now. If that goes well, maybe you could set out some obstacles and see if you can guide each other around an obstacle course blindfolded. Let us know how you get on with your trust walk. We had a great time recently at Home Together Live with some of you. Here's some of what we got up to. While we were there, we heard the story of Joshua and how God finally brought the people to the land he had promised to give them. Sometime later, the people had made the land their home, but not everything was easy. In this episode, we're going to hear about Gideon, who became one of their leaders at a very difficult time for the people. Gideon was hiding. He was hiding because he was scared. Gideon was scared because his people were being attacked by many tribes, including the Midianites. They would come and attack their farmland, destroy their crops and kill all their animals. This was not an easy time for a farmer like Gideon, and not an easy time for God's people. One day, an angel from God appeared to Gideon. "Greetings, strong and mighty warrior. God is with you." Excuse me? Said Gideon. "If God is with us, why are all these dreadful things happening? We have so many great stories of God saving our people, but where is he now?" But the angel replied, "You are strong, and God is sending you to save his people. My family is the weakest in my entire tribe, and I am the least important member of my family. You've got this wrong." And then God answered him, "I will be with you, and you will defeat the Midianites." Then God gave Gideon a sign so that he could be confident, and told him not to be afraid. Sometime later, the Midianites and others arrived and set up camp with a huge army. God spoke again to Gideon, and Gideon gathered an army of his own. But Gideon was still not confident. He said to God, "You promised to use me to save Israel, but would you please do this for me? If I laid out this fleece on the floor, and in the morning it's wet and the ground's dry, I'll know that what you promised will come true." And that's what happened. The next morning, Gideon got up early. He went to the wool and found it was wet and the ground was dry. He filled a bowl with water from the wool. Then he said to God, "Lord, God, please don't be angry, but just one more test. If I lay the fleece out tonight and in the morning it's dry and the ground is wet, then I'll really know that what you've promised will come true." So that night, God did it. In the morning, the wool was dry and the ground all around it was wet. Gideon set up camp and prepared the army. But God had another message. "Your army is too big. I will save my people, and I want them to trust me. But with an army this big, they'll think they were strong enough and did it themselves. Tell them that if anyone is scared, they can go home." And they did. And 22,000 of Gideon's army left and went home. But the army was still too big, so God told Gideon to take his men down to the river. God had Gideon tell his men to take a drink from the river. He said the men would either get right down to the water to drink, or they would scoop it in their hands and drink like this. 300 men scooped the water into their hands, and it was these 300 men that God said he would use to help him save the people. That night, God told Gideon that if he was still afraid, he should sneak down to the enemy camp and listen to them talking. Gideon was still afraid, so he and his servant went down to the camp. There, they listened to the soldiers. The soldiers were terrified. They were scared because they believed that God had already won the battle for Gideon. Now, fully trusting God's promise, Gideon woke his army of 300 and led them out to surround the enemy camp. In one hand they held a flaming torch, and in the other a trumpet. They shouted, "For the Lord and for Gideon!" and they blew the trumpets. The enemy were terrified and they ran in all directions. God confused them and they attacked and defeated themselves. Gideon learned that he could trust God. And God, as he promised, used Gideon to save his people.
That was a really honest story, which shows that it took Gideon some time to learn to fully trust in God. He got there in the end, but I think I can identify with that.
Yeah, and maybe you can as well. Maybe like Gideon, sometimes you feel that you're not good enough, that other people might be better than you. Maybe like Gideon, sometimes you feel scared, too scared to do the things that you want to do or that you know are right to do.
But maybe we can understand that we too, like Gideon, can learn to trust God and, like Gideon, find God to be trustworthy.
Gideon didn't feel strong or confident, even though God had said he was. He discovered that in God and with God, he was strong and he could do what God had asked him to do. Maybe we will discover, as we learn to trust God, that we can have confidence and strength in him too.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably all from us, just for now. So, goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me, and here's Sarah with your activities.
Well, hi everyone, welcome back to this episode where we've been thinking about Gideon. What we are going to do today is make a little army of lollipop stick people to join in the story. In your pack you've got some lollipop sticks, some are this colour, some are all different rainbow colours. It'll just depend what you've got in your pack. You should have 3 or 4. So you've got pipe cleaners in your pack and you've got your lollipop sticks, and all you're going to take your pipe cleaner, starting about the middle, and you're just going to wrap your pipe cleaner around your lollipop stick a few times till you are happy with the length of your arms. Then you can fold a little bit over at the end to make some little hands. Then you're going to need a face. So you're going to take your googly eyes. These ones are all sticky, so they've just got a little paper on the back. It's a wee bit of a fiddle to get them off. Stick your googly eyes where you would like. And then you're just going to take a pen, pencil, whatever you've got at home, draw on a little face. And then you're going to draw on some legs. I'm going to draw some feet on mine, ready to run into battle. If you've got some colours, you can colour those in as well. And then you have a little lollipop stick person ready to join Gideon's army. You will have 3 or 4, so you can make a little collection of people, make them all different. You'll have different googly eyes. We would love to see your creations. The other thing you've got in your pack this time is some glow sticks. We are going to be thinking about Gideon holding up that torch ready to go into battle, and then what God did at the end of our story. What you can do is you can break your glow sticks, give them a good shake to get them all lit up, and then you're going to find a little dark space. You maybe get a blanket and make a little den, and you can have a play with your glow sticks in the dark. We would love, as always, to see how you get on this time. Join us on the Facebook group. If you don't have access to that, grown-ups, please get in touch and we will send you a link. We'd love to see your creations, to see how you've got on with your activities from your pack. We will see you again soon.